All the world's a stage.
And all the men and women merely players.
They have their exits and their entrances.
And one man in his time plays many parts.
And this is the hardest part I have ever played.
These are the voyages of the USS Boudica.
Alive.
To be alive. You know what? It's not threatening. It's literally just a statement that I picked up from The Simpsons. You should know where that's from, Matthew. You love The Simpsons. So I've been told.
I'm just saying it recontextualizes as something threatening to us.
I mean, it's so appropriate. This is
Look,
the perfect
if I'm
setting
gonna
for a
threaten
moon
you,
pie.
if I'm gonna
Good
threaten
evening,
you, I am going
watchers.
to. No, you hold on, C4A. If I'm gonna threaten you, all right, I'm gonna spend some threat. All right, I literally have a resource that is called threat. Also,
Bet.
C4A, apologize for coming at you a little aggressive there, but I just needed to put Matthew in his place. All right, and you were interrupting that. I love
We'll
you guys.
decide if I forgive you or not.
Oh, kaboom! Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4, the much anticipated. Last week, unfortunately, there was a temporal disturbance, and a certain Matthew was unable to attend, but he is back in action with his amazing captain. And as is tradition, we're just going to go around the table. We're going to have everyone introduce themselves, tell us who they're playing, and then we're going to have an absolute delightful, or so I'm told, opening log by one Commander Rin. So let's take it away. Matthew, Alex, C4A, Adrillian, and Fizbo. Take it away, friends.
Hello, everyone. As you've already heard, my name is Matthew. I play Captain Suri Hagen, the female Vulcan Betazoid hybrid captain of the Boudica.
My name is Alex. I am playing Commander Rin, the attached acting chief engineer for the Boudica. Currently, I don't know what's going to happen after that.
Hi, I'm C4A, and I play Commander Andromeda Mitchell, the half Betazoid, half joined Trill. We're going to find out how she fared after this apparent stroke, so we'll see.
Hi, I'm Julian. I play the human Starfleet intelligence officer, Samina Velia. See what she has up her sleeve this week.
Hey there, I'm Fizbo. I'm playing Chief Science Officer Jasoniman, the Evoran who is currently occupied by several other species, I think.
Several hundred. Let's be clear, sir.
Several hundred other species?
What?
Other species or individuals?
Huh?
I
Oh,
said
don't
other
know.
species.
Did I say something? No, I would never interrupt your introduction. Forgive me.
Were
You
hundreds
would
of
all the
species
time.
involved in the Dominion War? I think it was like 2 dozen.
And of course, I am the Game Master Darewolf. Super excited to be here. We're going to get to Rin's opening monologue, as it were, but I'd like to just set the scene. We see the Boudica at close to maximum warp, heading in the direction of Starbase 24. There is a thick kind of nebulous cloud that you have just entered that, at least on your star chart, shouldn't be there. Now, your initial scans of this nebulous cloud have indicated it is not toxic, it's not dangerous to the vessel, it seems completely benign. But as we zoom in, we see Commander Rin. Perhaps, where would you have recorded this opening log, Commander Rin, please?
Probably in his quarters, given the nature of it.
So we actually zoom in through multiple decks. We see a bunch of different crew members at work. We actually see some minor repairs taking place on that missing section of Deck 4. And as we zoom into the core of the ship, close to where the command staff's quarters are, we see Commander Rin at his desk recording his opening log.
Commander Vidar Rin's personal log. Stardate 514-571.66. Repairs to the Boudica have progressed as far as they're able, given the limited resources available to us on a ship of this size. The micro breaches in the ship's hull have been patched, rendering the sections of Deck 7 safe, albeit devoid of any utility. Once we're able to find a layover with a working industrial replicator, Then we'll begin to reconstruct the deck's internals. As a benefit to having shorn up the hull, the engineering crew has been able to raise our current top safe speed to warp 4.3. Higher than that, and the gap in our structural integrity fields begin to rear its ugly head. This will have to suffice for the moment, given the state of affairs we've suddenly found ourselves in. While I'm not yet aware of the full circumstance, I know that someone has hastily left the ship by stealing one of our shuttlecraft, which normally would not be as big of a mess as it has turned out to be. We would, again, normally be faster than a Warp 6 shuttle. His course leads directly for Starbase 24, which coincidentally seems to have made Captain Hagen's decision on our course of action a far simpler question, to my relief. Admittedly, the decision between investigating the station's radio silence and the ongoing distress call from the Admiral's vessel is not a favorable position to find oneself in, and one I'm glad is not ultimately on my shoulders to make. While I understand the mandate to respond to a distress call, the situation, the declaration of war between the Federation and the Klingon Empire, and only we received it, this broadcast is a trap, and that's not how the Klingons operate. Of the myriad possibilities that this could be, two major flags raised to me. The first being that the Romulans are behind this. I've seen how they operate. I know how the Tal Shiar operates in the background to manipulate the things in the favor of the Star Empire. How they'll play both sides to get the outcome that they desire. Now, given what we've seen, what we've been able to deduce from sensor readings of the displaced Miranda space frame, the crew rosters of those who had supposedly been aboard and those who are missing from us, and the accounting of the larger temporal event in full, the second flag is a more alarming conjecture. The Dominion. Could the ambassador have been a changeling? His vitals dropped from the ship's sensors well prior to the shuttle's departure. He had admitted to using us as bait to capture that entity that Commander Chasanaman encountered. What if that was the truth, but we missed larger implications? I saw the carnage that the Jem'Hadar caused firsthand, and the symbiont did as well. An even more dire side to the war than I had known of prior to our joining. As we speed for Starbase 24, I'm apprehensive as to what we'll find there. I have cousins stationed there, engineers like me. Are they all right? Have they been hurt? Or worse? The youngest, Hana, she's joined like I am. To consider the possible loss of not just family, but of a symbiont as well, that's devastating to consider. This brings me to Andromeda, Commander Mitchell. According to medical, she suffered some form of cerebral trauma before having been brought in by, of all people, the ambassador. Reports say she'll make a full recovery, but no, that's all the more reason we need to get to Starbase 24. After a brief exchange with Commander Velia, there's something that has me concerned as to what she knows. The Rin symbiont may not be as highly known or regarded as others, such as Dax or Tal, but to those that they are known, it's not for the most favorable of reasons. Now I have the need to question, have their eyes turned towards me? Computer, delete last 30 seconds in Edlog.
All right, I'm going to come out and say it. That was fantastic, Commander Rin. As I had mentioned, I thought it was going to be good, and that was great. You may have 2 additional momentum to start the session off with 4 momentum. That was absolutely delightful. Absolutely delightful and well done. As we zoom out from Commander Rin's new quarters, because his quarters are missing, as it were, we actually go to the hallway just outside. We're going to theater of mind this for a moment, but just outside of the bridge, we actually see Commander Mitchell standing there, and you have just been cleared. You've just been cleared by the good doctor himself, Chief Medical Officer Clinton, with his glasses that he wears simply for vanity, because I guess no one in the future actually wears glasses, because, they have space science and magic and, medical, as it were. But he wears them because he thinks it makes them look smart. His words to you, Commander Mitchell, were as follows. Well, I can't find anything wrong with you, so I guess you're cleared for duty. If you get headaches, then come back, I guess. But carry on. And then he basically shoved you out of the medical bay, as it were. As you walked towards the bridge, Commander Mitchell, you felt normal. You felt fine. But as you get to the doorway that enters just into the bridge proper, there's that kind of duality of consciousness. You are yourself, but you are also joined. It feels like you can't quite hear that other part of you. Oftentimes, I would imagine, and I'm embellishing slightly, you never really feel quite alone, because there's always you and that other presence that you are joined with. Your mind feels quiet. And I hate to use this phrase, but it feels too quiet.
I'm assuming all the other nearby officer voices are also quiet for the moment.
You don't hear anything other than the hum of the warp cores, the engines of the Boudica, and perhaps from the door that you're standing just in front, the beeps, the boops, the buzzes of all of the instrument panels inside of the bridge proper. Maybe you hear Captain Hagen giving an order, asking for data, but other than that, nothing like you normally do. You feel, again, very alone in this moment.
She's gonna take a moment before walking in and just reassure herself. It's there's people here. They are here. You're fine. You've been cleared. Keep it together, Mitchell. And then she'll walk.
I'm going to have you make a check, Mitchell, right before you enter into the bridge proper. Okay. I'm going to have you make a presence in medicine, difficulty of 2. And you may not use a focus for this.
Okay.
Very good. You breathe deep. You ready yourself. Kind of a calming sort of just in. Hold it for a moment. You release, and there's that sense of sort of tingling, like just, again, a tingling sensation that travels from your head, your temples, down the side of your face, through your arms, down your chest, to your legs, until you feel at ease. That silence is still present, but it does not bother you as much as it did a few moments before. Be it training, be it sheer strength of will, you've managed to calm yourself in this moment. And as we pivot over to the bridge itself, Captain, I'd like to ask, what would have been the most recent order you would have given to the rest of the bridge crew? You've just passed through this nebula that I described at the beginning of the session. It is a thick, dense cloud. It's almost similar to, in fact, Commander Jasoniman, it's actually similar to a certain Shackleton Expanse gaseous cloud. It seems to almost be the exact replica of it. In fact, it has a kind of orangish tint to it. But Captain Hagen, what would have been your last order to the bridge crew?
So the 2 last orders would have been first for Commander Velia to assume position at tactical, given that she is the most experienced security officer that we have on board. And then after that, Suri would have asked for a general report on sensor readings from the region and reports from the probes we had sent out earlier.
Absolutely brilliant. Commander Jasoniman, what I'd like you to do is give us a control science. I'm going to have you make one check to get both pieces of information. Difficulty on this is going to be a 3. The dense orange cloud that you have now entered into, the information I'm going to give you for free is simply that it looks like, it seems as though you've entered into the Shackleton Expanse, but you are light years away from the Expanse. Light years away from it. But this cloud is incredibly similar. But I'd like you to make a difficulty 3 control science to go ahead and answer those 2 questions that Captain Hagen just asked.
Might want to take 3 momentum for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, let me go back and change my dice pool.
Sure. Do you have any appropriate
No,
foci?
I'm not unless we can apply experimental physics. I'm not an expert on gaseous anomalies or nova clouds or that. I have awareness, but it's not a specialty. What was that again, Wolf? I apologize because
no, you're
I
fine. No worries to ask. So you would be rolling a control and science difficulty of 3. You do not have a focus, it sounds like.
And I will do 3d20 using that momentum.
Ooh, on the money. Absolutely on the money. Well done, Commander Jasoniman. So the information that the captain had asked you was just the local region, a little bit more information about the gaseous cloud that you find yourselves in, as well as the readings that you're returning from the probes. Now, I have good news and bad news, as is tradition. Which would you like first?
Bad first.
I love where your mind's at. The bad news is of the, let's say, 4 probes you sent out. You never gave me a number, but let's say 4, 5 probes that you sent out. You're only getting readings back from 2 of them. 3 of those 5 probes you sent out just have disappeared. They're gone, either destroyed, either captured, I don't know, but they're just gone. That's the bad news. That's the bad news. The good news is that you are picking up readings from the 2 probes that you sent out. One of them was actually a probe the captain had ordered to be sent out to create a false warp signature that was kind of heading off in the other direction to attempt to help mask the Boudica's approach to Starbase 24. The other was a probe specifically designed to be sent out to actually collect more sensor data, and it was heading mostly directly towards Starbase 24 itself. What you're picking up is a massive, and when I say massive, I mean it is light years across, a debris field that is a mixture of Federation, Cardassian, Dominion, various Dominion ships, even a couple of Romulan vessels, but there is a massive debris field of different metals and alloys, ship parts, that appears to be creating a kind of almost dome-like presence, shape around the starbase itself. And as the probe gets closer to the starbase, what is perhaps slightly distressing, I think there's good news in here, I'm not sure, is this good news? But what is slightly distressing, Commander Jasoniman, is the probe is not picking up a single life sign from the starbase itself. As you're reading the readings from the probe, there is a moment where it gets closer and closer. It's within just a couple kilometers of the starbase, and then it seems to just disappear. It's gone. You have no more readings from that probe. Now, of course, you do have your additional question you can ask, and I leave the scene to you.
I'm struggling with that additional question. Can I do did the probe give me any information on temporal signatures?
That could be your question.
Well, I'm more asking if that's information I can ask about.
You know what? This isn't going to count as your question. To answer if you can ask a question, yes, you may ask about that if you'd like to, of course.
Do the readings from the probe show temporal signatures consistent with ours or a different timeline?
Great question.
Well, not timeline.
They are showing a different decay, a different atomic decay than your timeline. In fact, they seem to be oh, I don't know, you can probably guess, maybe 30, 40 years old.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah,
Roughly.
around there.
Yeah, weird.
Okay, that's a lot of information to report to the captain. I'm going to summarize. Captain Hagen, we're getting readings on this area now. They are upsetting and distressing. Primarily, there's complete lack of life in the area around the Starbase. I don't know if that's confirmed. I'm just telling you that's what the probe has found. But this entire area of space should not be.
I'm going to cut you off right there, Jasonman. Just give me one moment, because at this moment, this is when Commander Mitchell walks in. Commander Mitchell, you are now inside of on the deck, on the bridge. Commander Jasonman, continue. I just want you to be present for this, Commander Mitchell.
This entire area of space, if I didn't know where we were, I would say we were snap in the middle of the Shackleton Expanse, which, unless navigation has horribly failed us, we are not. This is identical to the Shackleton Expanse, down to very specific chemical representatives creating the glow we're seeing in front of us. And the debris that the probe picked up is from species that I don't think have ever even been here. There are Romulan ships, there are Dominion ships, and none of those ships are from our time. They're from years ago, from the war. And only 2 of the probes were sending back any information, and as I speak to you now, only 1 is sending any information. This area of space should not be. Someone has taken great pains to subvert the order of the galaxy.
Oh my God, you weren't kidding when you said that there's a lot to report. Okay. And she's actually going to rise from her chair, straighten her uniform slightly, look to the sky, massage her temple for a moment, and then walk over to the console next to Jasonman so that she can look at the readouts herself. There were over 10,000 people on board that starbase. An entire thriving community. Do you have anything about the chronometric signatures from the ships, the debris fields surrounding the base? Is it from the battle where the Miranda that we've been investigating, well, hailed?
I can extrapolate that makes sense. The Miranda and this battle it was involved in seemed to be its impetus for doing all of the actions that our mystery captain, redheaded person, is doing. This battle has to be the linchpin for whatever their strategy is, or the reason that they had to form their strategy. But my extrapolation would be that these are ships from that battle. I don't know why they're here, but that is when they're from.
The level of sheer chronometric flux necessary to subvert the continuum on a scale sufficient to bring an entire fleet of devastated vessels 30 to 40 years forward in time
would require a entity with similar 2Q like powers.
Exactly. Do you have any recommendation as to how we should proceed?
I don't suppose we could ask the Q for help. They're not very good at responding.
I mean, we could just try to insult them. Maybe they'll strike us dead with a thunderbolt. I think that's what they do. Or that was Apollo from the Kirk mission we were talking about.
We'd probably just be trapped in a nursery rhyme or something. I don't know that we have the potential to generate the amount of energy needed to do anything about this situation with just our warp core. Depending on what's in the area around us, we could potentially scavenge from these ships and make something that could maybe set things right. But I think we have to attend to the mission first and see if there's anyone we could rescue. I don't know that I'd trust that no life signs reading.
And Suri is then just going to actually move slightly so that she's between the other 2 officers, putting a hand on the back of Commander Velia's chair. Commander, what's the tactical status of the Boudica?
I guess, can I have a quick readout of what status we're at with weapons and...
So, to give you a percentage of how combat ready you are, with the damage the Boudica underwent, with the missing section of Deck 4 and power conduits and relays having to be rerouted just to keep the ship flying, you're at about 65% battle readiness. So, not horrible, but not great. And Commander Velia, as Captain Hagen places her hand on the back of your chair, asking a question, Commander Mitchell, I'd like just to know, have you just been standing there this entire time? Have you moved over to the first officer's chair? What are you doing in this moment, Commander Mitchell?
She would have moved over to the first officer's chair and is playing catch up, essentially, with the data pad that is
perfect.
Been left behind.
Commander Rin, at this moment as well, and I'm going to get back to Commander Velia in just a moment, but Commander Rin, you get a message from engineering, and it's kind of more a question, more so than like a statement. It's asking whether or not you had ordered a rerouting of power from Deck 3 to Deck 2. There was like a weird message that the engineering teams got, and they started working on it, but it didn't seem right. It almost seemed like it might be a bad idea. It's very jumbled, this question, but it's from one of the chief officers down there. It's asking, did you order this?
As this message comes in, Rin would have been sitting at the station, kind of with his head on his hand, one finger just kind of tapping at the console in front of him, as he had heard the earlier conversation about the state of everything around them. With that, he's going to kind of pause and send the message back, just short, simple, no.
Get a response back. It says acknowledged. We'll stop it. And I'm curious, Commander Rin. I want to know what's on your mind right now. You hear this conversation going around. You hear about no life signs, etc. To anyone else on the bridge, were they to look over at Commander Rin in this moment, what would his expression be? What would his posture be in this moment? You mentioned your head kind of low, tapping. What would they see?
I'd say the way he's turned specifically, his face can't really be seen by any of the other bridge officers. But he is sort of slumped forward over the station. Definitely not his normal upright posture. So he's definitely concerned over something.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's brilliant. Go ahead, please.
Definitely, he doesn't like what he's hearing, and that is showing.
Okay. So he's having a hard time keeping that professionalism in this moment. But as we zip back over to Commander Velia, you've just told the captain, about 65% battle readiness. The ship's still struggling to get power to where it needs to go. And in this moment as well, Commander Velia, you get a little beeping at your console. Excuse me, not the console, but on that tablet that you carry around with you all the time, the special one, as it were. It's a little beeping, and there's certain tones that will happen, and you know that this tone is like priority run message from Starfleet Intelligence. And that tone, that particular, I guess, series of beeps means your eyes only. So you've just got a message from the big man, the boss.
And I assume there's a distinct difference of noting this is a read file or this is an audio file.
This is a read file. Great question.
Okay. So she'll tell the captain, we're sitting decent, not great, but not bad, 65%. So if we needed to, we could pull out some guns, but kind of would be better if we were higher and we had some more time to do something. And then,
fortunately, we don't really have time at all. This if these sensor readings are false, and she looks over at Commander Sonneman for a moment, not through any fault of your own, though, Commander, it's
If I
incumbent
can
upon us to
interrupt,
investigate.
while Suri is talking with Simon, Velia will actually get up and leave the bridge.
Done.
Just kind of like as attention is off her, she'll just kind of do a few beeps and then leave.
What would I be detecting from her emotionally by way of my empathy that is not really something that I can turn off? So you're getting this constant barrage.
You tell me, Commander Villia.
You don't sense anything.
Stone cold.
It is empty. It is empty.
Like a fox.
Is that normal for her? In other words, that's something that the captain would be accustomed to, that she is like a blank slate? Or
I think by now, yes.
Okay.
Nice. I like it.
Captain's going to frown over the tactical console.
She has set the console to go to her pad, so she hasn't like left it unattended. But she's like, there's something I need to address, so she just kind of whipped out real quick.
I like that.
Sonneman, continue scanning the region, and if you glean anything more about this presumed temporal anomaly, please inform me.
Of course, Captain.
And the captain is going to go over to Rin, but if there's another scene that anyone else wants to do, I don't want to take away from them. Okay. Then, in a slightly sort of meandering fashion, presumably just looking at some of the readouts about tactical displays, damage to the ship, as she is crossing behind the central console here, she's going to make her way over to Rin. Pretend almost as if she's looking at the engineering console and the readouts there, and then say to him, Commander, I'd like to see you in my ready room, if you have a moment.
Actually takes Rin a moment or two, I'd say, before he even realizes Captain standing over his shoulder. What you'd see, not only does the console have the display readouts for their own ship, but he's actually pulled up some scans for the ships that are wrecked out around the station. Takes a moment to kind of snaps out of course, right now, Captain?
At your earliest convenience, Commander.
Aye.
And she's going to sort of gesture over towards Mitchell. Is her attention hyper-focused on that data pad, or would she pick up on that?
She would be reading the data pad, however, kind of without realizing she said it out loud, she would have said, concern for my family. And just like a non sequitur.
Then the captain is going to cross over around the bulwark here and stop next to the commander. Commander, a moment of your time.
Of course, Captain.
And when both of them are prepared, she would take them into her ready room.
Perfect. So you guys head off to the ready room. However, before we get to that, we're going to pivot over to the hallway just outside of the bridge, where one intelligence liaison, has walked over and pulled up a data pad to take a little read. And the data pad says the following, Commander Velia. It says the following. Priority 1. Boudica's new standing orders. Investigate all information accessible near and around Starbase 24. Priority 1. Information regarding 1 Chronos station. And that's it. That's all it says.
Can you read it one more time for me?
Absolutely. Priority 1. Boudica to investigate all information around Starbase 24. New standing orders to investigate all known and available information pertaining to 1 Chronos station.
and she'll return to the bridge and to her station.
Brilliant. And as she returns to the bridge in her station, we then pivot over to the ready room / conference room that we've become accustomed to. We've had a couple of meetings inside there where we see both Rin and Commander Mitchell. I believe both of you were called to the office. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, Captain.
Since C4A has departed for a moment, let's just do each officer individually.
Perfect. Done. All right. So Rin, you're going to be first.
Okay.
And that pause is actually in character as she sort of mulls slightly, fiddling with the tablet on her desk. Off the record, Commander, how are you? It's a stupid question because I can feel it, but
we're within sensor reading of Starbase 24, and there's no life signs. There is a literal fleet of wrecked Starship hulks in orbit around the station, and there are no life signs.
So you feel like hell.
Yes.
Commander, I want to be empathetic with your situation, and I do. I can't imagine the kind of experience that you're undergoing. But right now, this ship is in desperate need of the man who designed it, its functional chief engineer. And I need to know if you can set aside your personal feelings at this moment and do your best to ensure the safety of this ship and crew. There is no wrong answer except a lie. If you can't handle it, I accept that and I understand it.
I think with that, Rin's gonna maybe pause for a moment to look out one of the observatory windows. I can handle it. It's not a distraction, and it's not something I'll be distracted from. Just since the time that we undertook this course to get to where we are now, I think my work should already prove that point.
And the captain's going to stand, not in a sort of threatening way, but is going to close the distance between them slightly. That's true, Commander, but that was before we received word of, well, the sensor scans of Starbase 24.
I've had multiple lifetimes of instances like this raising. Rin has been through this before. If I need to, I'll lean more on that.
All right, Vidar. I trust you in that respect. And although I don't want to offer you false hope, we've been beset by bizarre alien technology, temporal anomalies that are beyond our capacity to understand fully. Just because there are no life readings doesn't mean that there isn't hope. Just as I still hope that the crew members we've lost will be found. I don't know how, but it's still possible.
If there's one thing I've come to expect in my time in Starfleet, each day brings something different that you never saw as a possibility beforehand.
Like that attitude. You're dismissed, Commander.
With that, Rin will turn and head back towards the door.
And then the captain will just, I guess, calm Commander Mitchell to enter in.
Excellent. We watch as Rin exits through the same door that he came in through, and just behind him we see Commander Mitchell enter into the room. Take it away.
Yes, Captain.
And she grows slightly stern in her expression. Commander, I owe you an apology.
Captain.
I shouldn't have asked you to engage with the ambassador.
It was my choice, Captain.
Perhaps.
I only regret I was not able to glean much information before I was indisposed.
You flushed him out. He's no longer on our vessel, and he's no longer capable, at least in the same way as he was, of imperiling us. That's enough. You found part of the truth. It's up to us to follow the trail. And
here she's hesitating. I told you what I would. I told you I would tell you what I had discovered. It was a white room with lights, Captain.
the captain's going to lean in slightly. Commander, I can, if you'll forgive me, feel the level of distress, uncertainty. There's a lack of mooring that I typically associate with you.
And when she says that, Mitchell will, visibly try to gather herself. Apologies, Captain.
It's nothing to apologize for, Commander. You have been psychically assaulted by an unknown agent. That's not your fault. It's his. There are a number of telepaths on board this ship that might be able to better understand the kind of damage that's been inflicted in ways that the doctor can't. I'm sure that they would be willing to help you. And very earnestly, she says, I would be willing to help you as best I can, if you're willing to accept it.
I shouldn't. I should be better, Captain.
Mitchell, you are one of the most stalwart officers I've ever met. None of us is good enough alone. That's why we have crews. That's why we have specialists in our respective fields.
She is about to say something, but instead is just, yes, Captain. Thank you.
Mitchell, were you on Beta Z during the war?
No.
I was. When Beta Z was invaded by the Dominion, conquered, every mind was completely open. Every thought, every fear screamed constantly in a cacophony of horror. It was more than most people could bear alone. That's why we're open. That's why our people believe that there should be no secrets, no barriers. I don't believe that myself, but I can understand it. It's because we need that psychic support. We need other people.
Yes, Captain.
There's no pressure. and there's no expectation, save for you to do your duty.
Then I will continue to do as much, Captain.
I never expected anything less, Commander. Is there anything that you want to say to me? Is there anything that I can do to make this recovery easier for you?
Not at the time. I'm still getting used to some changes I seem to have been dealt.
And she smiles slightly. Well, Commander, I sincerely hope that your recovery is a swift one, because God help us all if I'm the emotionally stable one.
We couldn't have that, Captain.
Hopefully not. You may return to your duties, Commander.
Aye.
As the commander exits the ready room, I am curious, Captain, what is your expression? How do you look as she leaves? Do you look like you believe her? Do you look...
Suri just looks emotionally haggard and trepidatious. That air of calm that she showed when she was investigating the scientific mysteries of the missing decks of our vessel has sort of atrophied away into a general tension that is evident on her features as she sits back in her chair, spins around, and just, again, stares out at the starfield.
So there is no starfield to be seen, only an orange, slightly glowing, kind of like a fog of this dense orange cloud you now find the ship traveling through. But as we zoom out back to the bridge, we're gonna head over to Commander Velia and Commander Jasanaman, who are sitting next. I believe you headed back to the bridge proper, Commander Velia, to resume your chair, your position at the helm, or not at the helm, excuse me, at the tactical station, correct? Excellent. So as you walk back over to there, we see the captain heads back to the bridge as well. But Jasanaman, you've been monitoring the sensor readings, looking to see. You still see that one probe that is heading off, acting as a kind of fake warp signature off in the other direction. But as you are maybe just having one of those episodes, you start to hear a couple of voices. You hear one, then another, then another, then another, and in all of these different languages, they are saying, find it, must find it, find it again, find it once, find it again, must get back, lost in time, out of time, again and 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 again. And as they stop, there is this chorus again, a voice out, a voice out, a voice and a voice and a voice and a voice, until all you can hear is that roaring inside your mind of all of those voices as they stop all at once. And there is just this moment, like a grand pause in a huge orchestral piece, just a moment of silence. You take a breath. Everyone holds their breath. Your console starts to beep. 1, 2, 3, 4 probes start sending you readings. Those missing probes that I had mentioned earlier have suddenly, mysteriously, miraculously even, reappeared. And you're getting readings. And the readings they're sending you, as is often the case, are surprising. They kind of don't make sense. They are giving you the readings of a Starbase 24 housed, as Captain Hagen said, 10,000 people. This station, if I were to call it one, is about 20 times as big as that. It is picking up a massive station It's seems to be structured as a massive ring with kind of pods, 4 of them. And the probes themselves, as they are sending you readings of this station, they are mirroring those 4 kind of like large pods. This station that you're getting readings back on, if I could even call it such a thing, it's so massive. Again, if Starbase 24 would house 10,000, this place could house likely close to 1 million. It is enormous. Its structure appears to be made of alloys that you've never known before. You've never known before. It is foreign on all intents and purposes. It almost seems to not even be from this galaxy. And it appears that Starbase 24, as well as this debris cloud, is trapped in a kind of gravitational field that's such a massive object because it is distorting space itself because of its sheer size. But what is also interesting, as you start to get these readings, is it appears this cloud that you've entered in is similarly caught in that gravitational field of this massive station. One of the probes, although the imagery is scattered and fuzzy, it sends back some pictures, a short video that it's attempting to take of this station. And the only thing you can make out on the central column of this massive station is the word Kronos.
Kronos spelled how?
CHRONOS, or, depending on how you like it spelled, CHRONUS.
My larger concern was the Klingon spelling.
No.
Okay. Commander Rin, can I send something over to your console for a second opinion?
Sure, send it over.
Sends it on over. What type of power would they need to run this?
I think Rin's gonna start looking over the readout.
What type of energy output would be required to sustain a system like this for perpetuity?
You're asking me? Is that your
No.
You're asking him. Okay,
him.
perfect.
Rin is taking
Thank
this
you.
much time trying to figure it out. You could plug in half of Starfleet's warp cores and it wouldn't be enough to power this. We're looking at quantum singularities. We're looking at siphoning off power from a star.
If warp theory operates on the idea that we're creating a bubble around us that is warping the laws of the universe, could something this large, generating this much power, potentially warp this broadly gestures at the field we're in and have chronological temporal implications? I don't know I haven't learned what the current temporal implications are for warp speed. I imagine there's something, but negligible because we don't really deal with it much. We just reset back to whatever Starfleet standard is. But there's a difference. There has to be. Something on this scale, could it be orders of magnitude bigger, large enough to move an entire area of space from the Shackleton Expanse to here, from 40 years ago to now?
Just by sheer size and the probable power output, there has to be a distortion surrounding this facility. The temporal consequences of that, I have no idea.
Captain to the bridge, please.
Captain has entered back onto the bridge. You didn't even hear her approach, but she's there, which I think is funny, actually. It's a little levity there for you.
I think she's actually just been sort of standing there in the middle of the two officers who are shouting back and forth at each other across the bridge.
I love that. I love that.
Commander Sonneman.
The probes came back.
Yes, I heard.
Mm-hmm. I think they may have been out of sync with our existence briefly. I don't think they were destroyed. I think they just ceased to be.
Glancing down at the readings, yes, that does seem to be a reasonable assumption. As is your theory about the chronometric displacement of both the fleet and the nebula cloud that we've just passed through from the Shackleton Expanse.
The question remains, who and why? I'm not familiar with half of these materials, even theoretically, so I don't know what could have produced them.
And she's going to call over the other side of the bridge. Vidar, you have the scans, right? Yes?
They're on the station.
Do any of them correlate with the mysterious black boxes or obsidian cubes that we've found across the ship?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes.
The makeup of the station of these boxes that we found, there's a correlation.
Then this station might pose a substantial threat to the ship. If those black boxes could siphon a small amount of power from our vessel, the same kinds of materials inside the station might be able to render us completely inert.
Threat to the ship, threat to the timeline, threat to subspace.
Threat to the Federation, maybe the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's the case, if that structure has similar properties to what those black boxes did in siphoning our power, those vessels may very well still be in an active state.
You think it's possible there could be life aboard some of that debris?
How much of it's debris and how much of it do we just not get sensor readings on right now?
Fair point.
They're 30, 40 years old, but we just a few weeks ago had a 30, 40-year-old structure within our own hull.
They may
seemed
be
modern.
Days old.
That could also account for the power requirements for a station of this size. If it's absorbing space, matter, the energy sources from the ships that it's collected, it's transforming all of that into energy, just like the cubes. Commander Sonneman, can you get any readings on the station and see if that might actually be the case? Is it operational in the same way as the cubes?
Ah, yes. So, piggybacking off of the probes and using the ship's own sensors, you may attempt to discover what is powering this massive station known only as Kronos. And I love that you all went directly to the Klingon name. That was a little fake out there for you. I got you. I love where your mind's at. I love it. So, but what you're going to do, Sonneman, is you're actually going to roll a control and science. Difficulty in this, though, due to piggybacking off of the probes, the interference, the temporal disturbances, as you have so aptly inferred, it's going to be difficulty 4.
Can I assist on this?
Absolutely.
And I think we still have a lot of momentum, like 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if with his assistance and 1 momentum, that would be dice pool 3.
Well, you're gonna roll your dice pool 3, yes, and he'll roll 1d20. Commander Rin, your check is going to be control engineering. You're attempting to, I believe, probably just boost the sensors, put some more power into it. How would you want to help?
I think what Rin would be doing in this case is diverting some excess power to try and reinforce the sensor grid. Try and maybe get just that little further push out.
I love it. I love it.
Let's see what I get.
Control
Do you wanna take-
engineering. Go ahead.
Did you want to
Um,
take 1 or 3 momentum?
I'm taking 1 momentum. Okay. Apply theoretical physics.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Would power generation systems work?
I'll allow it. Whoa! There we go. You get momentum right back. Absolutely well done. Well done. So, I actually just have good news. I just have good news. I don't actually have any bad news. So, the good news is you are able to piggyback off of the probes that are in this kind of perfect orbit around it. You're able to get through the interference. You're actually able to clear up some of that video where you can now see through multiple probes. You've got multiple images of those probes sending back, actual recordings, maybe even some of it's like just a few second delay to being live. And you see this massive station. It looks pristine. It looks to be in amazing shape. What is, I guess I don't want to call it bad news, but what is perhaps slightly disturbing is that the captain's theory of it absorbing energy from the surrounding ships, that is not the case. It was a great idea. It was a wonderful theory. But this station appears to be powered by a, well, you get some readings of of what you can only describe as a singularity inside the center of the station. But instead of pulling in matter like a black hole might, this appears to be expelling matter that the station is using to power itself. If your readings are correct, Jasoniman, and you're good at your job, so you know they are, this station is powered by a white hole.
Query. Would I have knowledge of the way that the Romulans run their ships, which I believe is similar in theory, although not to this extent? I believe Romulan ships and cloaking works on singularity drives.
That is correct. You would have a theoretical knowledge that it exists, but I'm 99% sure, and I'm just going to make the decision as the game master, that is held very closely to the cuff by the Romulans. So you know what happens.
Theoretical, then.
You have a theoretical way in which they could do it.
Now,
Yes.
I have a follow-up to what we found out.
Go on. Continue.
Okay, so we now see that the station is powered by this white hole within the center.
Mm.
Is that in any way affecting the vessels around it?
So, white holes expel matter. They're the opposite of a black hole. They should be maybe pushing it away. So, this actually explains why the debris field as well as Starbase 24 are in this kind of perfect synchronous orbit. Normally, should something be caught in the gravitational field of such a massive station, it would likely, unless it was propelled right into that perfect orbit, it would likely sink in deeper and deeper and deeper until it collided with that station. So the white hole, coupled with the gravitational field being generated by such a massive object in space, they are balancing one another. So that anything that gets caught in that field hits a precipice, hits the event horizon of the white hole, as it were, and then gets caught in this kind of perfect dome-like debris field around it. And Starbase 24, along with all of these additional ships, parts of ships, whatever it may be, they're all caught in that wave, as it were.
Well, I meant more in terms with the energy coming out of that. Is this energy, this power itself, is that interfering with the operation of those vessels? Can we maybe make a roll?
Doesn't appear to be. No, I'll give that one to you for free. It does not appear to be interfering with those vessels. And in fact, to help clarify, the readings that Jasoniman just picked up, there are no intact vessels in this debris field. It is simply just parts, bits. Like, again, this is, if you went into a massive, it's a bunch of derelict, blown apart, halves, chunks of vessels, bits of stations, bits, pieces here and there. Nothing is intact other than Starbase 24.
Okay.
Just don't worry. Take a
Do I
breath.
get a question for that check?
You absolutely do.
It's more of a broad question, but it's going to affect my recommendation to the captain. I assume something so advanced and running something so powerful would have significant defensive capabilities, but do they care we're here? Is there any sign that there's any, like, they turned on, are there shields up? Do they have any banks that I could understand as any kind of weapon readied?
No.
Captain, this structure, whoever constructed it, is working on what until this moment I believe to be entirely theoretical models for power production. There's this crazy idea of using a singularity to be able to run a ship, charge weapons, everything, but no major power would be stupid or crazy enough to actually use it in their ships. It's entirely theoretical, but it could work if you had enough chutzpah and enough proficiency with modern modified materials, unique materials to contain it. This is not just powered by a singularity. This is powered by a white hole, which is novel in the universe in general. So that's concerning, because if they could power something with that much, if they can control something with that much power, they could do a lot of things. But I have what might be good news and what might affect our path of action. They don't seem to care about us. There's no defenses up. They don't have shields, no phaser banks. As unorthodox as it may seem in this situation, we might just want to try hailing them.
Given the engineering knowledge necessary to create such a vessel, I'm sure that, or station, I'm sure that they would be able to simply manipulate time and space themselves to address any attacker. But diplomacy could be possible. Tell me, Commander, you said that it's powered by a white hole, an upwelling of energy and matter, presumably from another universe. Can you scan the source of that material, its chronometric and interspatial signatures?
I've strained the abilities of our sensors now. I can give it another shot, but I can't promise I'll get anything. I will endeavor to.
And as Jasama leans down to once again attempt to cut through all of the disturbances, Commander Velia, you've been sitting at your station. Commander Mitchell, I'm going to pivot over to you for just a second, but Velia, I want you to maintain focus here for a moment with us as well. But Commander Mitchell, your mind starts to fill with, well, it's been quiet. It now starts to fill with voices. But it's different. It's different than the voices that Jasanaman is experiencing. You start to hear angry, warrior-like voices. It's not Klingons. You're not hearing chants, but you're starting to hear this. It almost sounds like a unified hive mind of voices. Not unsimilar to the Borg, but not the same. And they are angry that a unknown ship has entered into their protected space. Now, Jasanaman had mentioned that the base itself did not appear to be activating defenses or even aware or even scared or upset about your presence, but Commander Velia, the reason I tied you into this is that the tactical console, there's a blip, and then there's another blip, and then a blip, and a blip, and you start picking up a literal swarm of unknown ships. And perhaps piggybacking off of the sensor readings that Jasanaman is attempting to put together, you see a swarm of vessels, not unlike a flock of birds that looks just like this. That swarm of vessels, and you've seen birds in the sky where they kind of swarm up and down and around. This swarm of vessels is weaving in and out of that debris field, flying around. It appears to actually be departing from Starbase 24, and where they came from, you're not sure. It is as though they were there, and then they were gone. And as they swarm around, they disappear, and then they reappear, and then they swarm, and they reappear and disappear. And then there is a hail from the center of that swarm. One of those ships, there is a hail. Who chooses to answer it?
I think that would be the captain, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on screen.
On the screen, you see a strange creature before you. This creature appears to be... Well, they have two sets of eyes. One in the front, much like a predator, but they also have a set of eyes on the side of their head, like prey does. So they seem to be a duality of both. They have these folds that come back over their head. This one has a kind of face mask over, as though it is a breathing apparatus, and appears to be in a very small, tight cockpit, likely of one of these, what you can only identify as attack vessels, Commander Velia. This creature says one simple thing. This is Lysek Asimek of the Noomfell Legion. You are to turn your ship around and leave. This area is under quarantine by order of the Noomfell Legion. You have been given a command. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of your ship, much like the destruction of this pitiful starbase. Acknowledge.
And the captain will rise from her chair and face the view screen. This is Captain Suri Hagen of the United Federation of Planets starship Boudica. We mean your people no harm, nor have we desired to transgress against your space or a region that you have claimed as your own. However, we're unfamiliar with your people or the region of space that you believe to be in at this moment. Could you clarify your intentions and your borders to avoid
Failure to
further
comply
misunderstandings?
acknowledged. All ships attack. And with that, we're going to head off to our quick break, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Stick around, everybody.
Mhm.
All right. That's true. I did ask you all to create, like, 4 NPCs, which when your characters never... Oh, we're back! I'm not going to kill everybody. That'd be terrible. So welcome, everyone, back to part 2 of episode 4. Thank you for sticking with us through that intermission. When we last left off, our intrepid crew of the Boudica, a literal swarm of hundreds of these apparent Nympha Legion attack ships, which are... They seem to be doing micro jumps, either through time, maybe micro warp jumps. You're not picking up warp signatures, but they're jumping around. They have threatened to destroy you, as it were, in this moment. They have cut communications at the same time. And Velia, you are getting picking up, it's hard to tell, but Velia, on tactical sensors, you're picking up at least 500 of these ships in this swarm. It is a lot of them. A lot. And they are charging you very quickly. Weapons are raised. It's like one of these ships versus the Boudica, even at 65% capacity, it's like a fly. But, death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of thing. The Boudica will not survive this fight if you take them head on. As this is all going on, though, 3 things, important things that I want to make note of. Commander Jasanaman, the voices in your head are screaming about being out of time. And that all time comes back to this time. It's very confusing. Commander Mitchell, those feelings of anger and frustration are being slightly overvoiced by a chorus that sounds not dissimilar to a hem. You are hearing... It's like 2 competing forces. There is the anger and the fear and the fury of this swarm of ships and their pilots. But then you are also picking up this chorus of hopeful, peaceful, and loving voices. Almost as though it is like you're walking by a church on Sunday and you could just hear that kind of muted, everyone's voices raised together in song. And it feels like it's coming from Chronos Station. You don't know why you know where it's coming from, but it's like... It's almost like a call. But Captain Hagen has just given an order for the ship to turn, so the helm's officer begins to maneuver the ship away from these attack swarming ships. But I leave the scene to you all. What's going on, guys?
If I can, Velia, during the whole discussion of what we've been discovering more and more about this Chrono Station, she has been searching through records. So anytime she hears a keyword, she's been searching it, like as they've been talking. So first and foremost, she started searching up Chrono Station in relation to Federation, the white hole.
Yeah.
We've encountered that before.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as we get to that point, these ships, like she's like flying over her station.
All right, so
kind of ignoring everything, but paying attention to everything.
I'm going to have you make a check. It's not going to be too crazy. It's difficulty 2. You're going to make a check. It's going to be a reason, actually insight and security, difficulty of 2. And you have what? Remind me of your focuses real quick.
I have tactical security, body language, no. Genetics, no. Starfleet operations, espionage.
Espionage. We're gonna lose that one. That one works. I like that.
Okay.
I like that a lot, actually. That's good. It's good.
And since we have 3 momentum, I'm just gonna use one if you guys don't mind.
I like where mine's at.
Absolutely.
Ooh, success with a complication. I love that. I'm just going to pocket that complication as some threat for myself. Thank you very much. Don't worry. I want you all to take note that I haven't spent any threat this session. I'm sitting on a boatload of it. Just
Hoping
wait.
you'd forget about it.
Just wait. Just wait. But the good news is, Commander Velia, you are scanning through. Now there's information that's available to everyone, and then there's information that you have access to. I would infer that you're probably focusing on the information you have access to. There is a note about one USS Ragnar, whose mission was to investigate the Shackleton Expanse, something, 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 black hole, something, something, Starbase 123, something, 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 encountered a unknown station known as Kronos. Ship disappeared, has not been heard from since. That is the only piece of information you gather.
I have something that Rin would probably be doing as the ship's getting ready to hightail it away.
Please.
Wants to essentially cross-reference the makeup and material of the swarm fighters coming in against the sensor readings we have of the station. See if the material and construction is consistent between the two.
Great question. Go ahead and give us a insight engineering difficulty of 1.
With starship construction as a focus?
Get it. Let's gain some momentum for the crew.
I really feel like I could have helped on this if I wasn't having a screaming match in my head.
Oh yeah, you're very distracted. Beautiful.
So the captain has ordered the ship away.
Yeah, the
from
ship's
this
starting to
place?
maneuver away. That is
Yes.
correct,
The
Mitchell.
captain
Okay.
ordered red alert and then ordered a retreat into the sort of astrological phenomena to try to hide,
You gotta
basically.
tell me. You gotta tell me when you do red alert. All right? Because
Well, you actually never kind of gave us a chance to say anything. You just kept talking and talking in one long, incredibly unbroken
okay.
sentence. It was really quite hypnotic.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Fair enough.
So that is 2 successes.
Is it okay if I say something now, Matthew? I don't want to, keep droning on and on and on.
I like this. It's just peaceful. Go ahead. You have my leave.
I hate you. Beautiful. So, you got 2 successes, which is brilliant. So, what's interesting is that the attack ships that are swarming towards the Boudica and the station itself, completely different. Not even the same ballpark. Completely different.
I think for the moment, Rin is just going to hold on to that. Doesn't exactly seem the pertinent time to bring that up.
Beautiful.
As the ship is turning, the captain would, and using her empathy, noting that our science officer has gone bye-bye, she would like to take a scan of those vessels to try to ascertain how it is that they are moving through space using that jump drive or whatever it is.
I like it.
You may speak.
Is that all right? I don't want to
Yes,
overtalk.
go ahead.
Again. I'm just going to ask for permission every time. It's just going to really slow down gameplay. It's going to be beautiful. You did this to yourself. Seriously, though. Yeah, you may absolutely do that. So you're going to give us a control science. Difficulty on this is going to be a 3.
Okay. Subspace dynamics as
absolutely.
a focus?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And you do have 3 momentum right now because Commander Rin's check did net you 1 additional momentum.
So I will spend all 3 if everyone's okay with that.
Yep.
And that would be 40, 20 with an applicable focus.
Beautiful.
Ooh. So
yeah,
that's why
not a
reason's
clue.
better. I'm going to spend determination on that to re-roll those 3 zeros. You don't have to outfight what you can outwit, because basically my plan is to try to disrupt whatever system they're using to move through space, since it's not conventional warp drive potentially.
I like it.
So control science.
I have something to add after.
Same.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. So here's what they're doing. Their ships are creating micro wormholes that they jump through and then appear on the other side. The technology is, well, out of this world, as it were.
At the end of Velia's little research round, and these ships are coming at us.
Mhm.
Can she ascertain any sort of pattern that we could weave through?
Oh, see, now you're thinking with angles. Velia. See, this is why I love this crew, because y'all just come up with these just harebrained ideas. It's brilliant. You absolutely may, because although it seems to be completely chaotic, is this all right? Am I talking too much, Captain Hagen? I just wanted to ask. As though it seems that it is completely chaotic, Velia, you are, well, you're very insightful. You think you see a pattern, so I'm going to have you roll a reason and security difficulty of 3. Although you think there is a pattern, it's still going to be difficult to ascertain what it is.
So if I use my determination, that gives me
2 successes and your dice rolls.
and my dice roll. Okay. So I'm going to use my determination.
Which value are you calling upon?
I gotta think about this. Complete the mission. She was told to find out more about the station, so she needs to get to it to find out more information.
Oh, there it is. There it is. All right.
And using the focus tactical security.
Done.
Oh.
You're failing right now. That's unfortunate. Do you have anything that will let you reroll?
I don't know, do I? Don't think I do. I can't like post give you threat, can I?
You know what? It's a role-playing game and I'm the game master. We can do whatever I want. So you know what? If you want to give me 3 threat, I'll let you succeed at cost. That's my devil's bargain.
Or you could challenge one of your values to get another point of determination and use that to reroll.
That's lame. Give me the threat. I mean, yeah, you could do that too. That's fine.
Gosh, I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, have the threat.
Yes!
I can't believe I'm doing this.
It's delicious. Delicious threat.
Sorry,
You
guys.
doomed us, I hope you know.
I support you in this decision.
All right, so here's the good news. You discover that there is indeed a pattern, and with some quick calculations, you chart one course, because I believe, if I heard you correct, Commander Velia, your goal is to get to the station. So you chart a course.
Like get safe from these things, but mainly get to the
station. Yeah. Well, the good news is you chart a course. You know it. You know based on the micro jumps they're making that there is a pattern, and you chart a course that it's not going to be easy, but that would get you to the station likely unharmed, or at least with the minimal damage possible. And you may present that to the captain as you see fit. From the helm, you hear the helm officer saying, "Setting a course out of the eye of the storm, sir," and they start moving away.
She will immediately speak up. Belay that, and
what?
Captain, we can get to the station, and she'll pass over the her path.
The hell if I'm going to that station? That's where those ships came from.
Captain, we need to get to the station.
And without even hesitating, she then says, "Helm, follow Commander Velia's course."
The helm officer freezes.
I think with that added, now Rin will bring up, I took a scan of those fighters. They do not match the construction of that station.
Helm,
seeing the helm freeze. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Now he goes to doot, but I think it'd be even cooler if Commander Velia ran over and booted him out of the seat.
That's exactly what I was gonna do.
She just comes over and just boots out.
Like she's there in 2 seconds and doesn't even sit down, and she does it over
She does it so fast that the inertial dampeners struggle to even keep up with it, and everyone just gets jostled a bit. No one gets thrown out of their seats. Rocks don't fall, but the ship engages. and you move off towards the station. Rather than dropping into starship combat, because of some quick thinking by the crew, we watch as this swarm jumps, and the ship is here. Then it moves, and you're doing this kind of serpentine, almost spiral-like maneuver. Again, the dampeners are actually struggling to keep up with it. Everyone's feeling a little bit, I guess, space sick, as it were. But as you get closer and closer and closer, there is a moment where you are just a few kilometers away from the station. And you pass through, you can watch as it happens out the view screen. It seems as though you pass through a kind of shimmering blue and purple-like dome. And as you all pass through, Commander Jasonima, those voices that you've been hearing, they go uncharacteristically quiet. And that kind of sound, that kind of craziness you've been experiencing seems to be, at least for now, muted. You feel only peace. You feel only relaxation in this moment. Bad news is you're going to lose that bonus to those rolls for the time being. And you're going to have a complication range because you are so chill that, like, it's almost to the point of being apathetic about things. Your complication range moving forward will be 18 to 20 on any check you make. But that's okay. Commander Mitchell, similarly, you also feel this kind of calm, but that calm is also piggybacked off of a intense pull towards the center of the station, as though there is a literal hook that has been connected to your sternum and is pulling you towards that direction. It is so intense that it almost hurts.
She's going to stand without realizing she's done so and try to get closer to the viewing screen.
Mm-hmm. All of you watch as she stands up and literally walks up to the view screen, placing her hands on it.
Velia will just look at the captain.
And she's going to look back at Velia. Commander, is the swarm following us?
Is the swarm following?
Commander Velia, there's nothing around you. I mean, the ship does kind of a slow turn as it gets closer to the station, and beyond this kind of shimmering field that you seem to pass through, you see nothing. You do not see the Starbase 24. You do not see the debris field. You do not see the Shackleton expanse-like cloud. You see black. There are no galaxies. There are no stars. There are no planetoids. It is pitch blackness. The only thing you see is the station itself.
Of course they can't follow us. We're in some kind of bubble. Static warp kind of bubble, something. White hole bubble. I don't know what to call it yet. I haven't figured it out. Like a white bubble. I'm going to call it a white bubble.
And presumably the captain picks up on this slight stoner vibe from Jasonima. Commander,
just doing as I'm told.
Oh yeah, I get it. Are you all right? She says, as she's not looking at him, but she's looking over at Mitchell.
Yeah, it's really quiet in this white bubble.
Almost to help. Almost there.
Commander Jasonima, can you take some sensor readings of the surroundings to find out where we might be, in what bizarre subspace universe we might have found ourselves?
I sure can, Captain.
And the captain is going to tap her comm badge. Captain to sickbay?
Yeah.
Doctor, would you send a medical professional up to the bridge? I believe that the commander has been affected by her earlier experiences.
You're gonna have to be more specific. There's like 5 commanders on the bridge.
You're right. Everyone other than myself and the ensign are commanders. That's Commander Mitchell. Her incident with the ambassador.
Oh, old Strokey? Yeah, I'll be up there in a second.
That's not a particularly professional way of addressing your superior officer, Doctor.
Chief Medical Officer Clinton out. Boop.
Oh, I love this dude. This is my new favorite officer.
Rin,
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I just wanted to speak with somebody who was somewhat sensible at the moment.
How do I do those scans? Can I do those scans?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can do some scans.
Sure.
You know, you're like looking around. You have hands. They're really cool that you have hands. You know, these buttons and lights are pretty sweet looking. I love the stoner vibe you went to because that's kind of what I was implying, but I didn't want to like say it. So I'm glad it came from you. But yeah, you can make the check. So you can roll just a standard check, 2d20. This would just be a control science, difficulty of 2.
Can I apply theoretical physics?
Yeah, you can.
In theory, you have 2 hands.
I don't know why they call them
No,
fingers.
no.
I ain't ever
I have
seen
a
them
work
thing.
hypothesis that I have 2
Fingies.
hands.
Beautiful.
Hey, there you go.
Beautiful.
Did some scans.
Beautiful. So 2 checks. Yeah, so you are literally in a constant state of flux out of time. You exist both where you were, where you're going to be. So imagine that this station and this bubble is existing at every point, every second in time since the beginning and the eventual heat death of the universe. You find yourselves in every single second of every single moment of the universe. That is where you find yourselves, like kind of in this bubble, this white bubble, as it were, as you so aptly put.
Mm-hmm.
That is your working theory. That is where you are.
Captain, are you familiar with the theory that if we were to achieve warp 9.9 repeating, that we would be positionally in all places in the entire universe simultaneously?
I think Rin will actually actually it's warp 10 perfect, not 9.99 repeating.
Thank you. Anyway, yeah, that theory.
Yes, I am familiar with the Starship Voyager's attempts to use that as a method of returning home. I believe they had some kind of specialized dilithium.
I don't
And
think it worked either.
I believe that it did. It's just it had unintended side effects.
No, it
Like
didn't
if
work.
it worked, I feel like if it worked, they would have gotten home a lot faster. Like instantly. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, this white bubble we're in is the exact same thing, but for time.
Are you then suggesting that we could emerge at any point in time if we left this bubble?
I'm saying that if we leave this bubble, I don't know when we'll show up.
Fun.
But also, that means we have an infinite amount of time to do repairs.
I'd like to also just take a moment to just embellish a little bit that Commander Mitchell, you are like at the screen, just like maybe pawing at it. I just think that's like the command staff's feeling a little weird right now, by the way.
Is she still feeling that pull?
Oh yeah.
In the
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. She's like, oh yeah. Like every time the ship like is doing this kind of slow orbit of the station, because again, this thing is massive. It's like the size of a moon. That's no moon. It's a space station kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's huge. It's enormous. And like every time it turns away, you start to feel pulled towards like the console, and then it turns back so you can see it, and then you pull back towards the view screen. Again, it almost hurts, but it's like it's not like a literal hook in your chest. It's just like you gotta get to the center of this thing. Something important's there. Something
You're
important.
a cat
Something
who
good.
sees a bird on TV.
Yeah.
Exactly. Doc, right there. Why?
They go
So
past
close.
an obvious dock.
Ah, so close.
Is there a replicator on the bridge?
Yes.
Okay, then the captain would like to replicate a psilocybin inhibitor.
Oh, what?
Psilocybin is the neurotransmitter that allows betazoids to actually be telepathic.
Yes, please.
That would be good. That'd be good. And with that, I think it would be interesting if Chief Medical Officer Crichton pops onto the bridge. Someone called for the doctor?
Yes, Doctor. And she is going to point towards Commander Mitchell, who is still sort of pawing at the screen.
Oh, she's embarrassed the hell out of herself after all this. Oh boy.
I am no command officer, but the first officer pawing at the view screen is not normal. Alright, I'm gonna need some cetirizine and, also a glass of orange juice. Could you replicate that for me, Captain? Thank you. And he's gonna walk over. He's like, alright, Commander Mitchell. Yep, that's a view screen. Yeah, oh, it's so pretty, isn't it?
So
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful, I know. And, and hypospray. And, and it is like an instantaneous feeling that washes over you. Like, it's still ever so slightly muted, but that feeling of I'm a cat and there's a bird out there and you're trilling because you want it and you're frustrated, so you're making that noise, is gone. And he goes, all right, how we feeling? Captain, orange juice.
And she's just going to turn to the ensign who was displaced from the helm. Ensign, orange juice.
Aye, sir. Looks over, gets the orange juice, brings it over, takes it, hands it to Commander Mitchell. You're going to want to drink this. Vitamin C. Very important.
Thank you.
Come on, up.
Doctor.
Yep, it's fine.
Apologies, Captain. And she is trying her best to make eye contact with the captain, and it's just like she is just so embarrassed right now. Just like,
Can you describe the experience that you just endured, Commander?
Safety, warmth, urgency to be there, Captain.
Well, it does seem to have afforded us protection against the swarm, so those sentiments were accurate.
May I ask why we haven't docked yet?
Well, quite frankly, Commander, your abnormal behavior distracted us.
Of course, Captain.
You acting kooky, but looks like my work here is done. Captain, anything else I can do for you?
I don't believe so, Doctor, although stand ready in case anything else should happen.
Salutes and actually heads over and sits down at a station. It's been a while. All right. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Continue.
Thank you, Doctor.
The flavor, the orange juice is the crunchy kind. So like she drinks it, she's like,
lots of pulp. Super pulpy. Yeah.
but she keeps drinking it.
Commander Rin, are you able to detect anything that might be a docking port so that we can... And she just sort of leaves it hanging there?
Commander Velia, actually, I'd like you both to make this check together because you're kind of doing it together. Maybe you would say something, Commander Velia, to help. But Commander Rin, I think it would be interesting if you made this check. So the captain's asked you to investigate it. Commander Velia, if I may embellish slightly, perhaps you say, hey, I'm also looking into it. Or maybe you just help quietly. I don't know, whatever you want. But Commander Rin, you're going to give us a control engineering, difficulty of 2. And what are your focuses?
Starship construction.
It's not really a starship, but fuck it, take it. It's fine.
What? Sorry, what am I rolling?
You're gonna roll a actually insight security. Just 1 die to assist. Difficulty 2 check overall.
I said this is difficulty 2.
Mm-hmm.
I only live once. I'll give you a threat to roll 3 dice.
There it is. Oh my god, I gotta spend some of this threat. It doesn't transfer over. I love it. Boom. So we've got a success. Got a success and a momentum back. Boom. Commander Velia. Ooh, 3 momentum back. Brilliantly done. So interesting. You do find several docking ports. In fact, what's interesting is that one of those docking ports is open and there are some blinking lights as though it is saying, choose me. Choose me. I'm excited. But what's interesting as well, as it often is, because I like to say that quite often, what is interesting is that you're also picking up a very small chunk of a Starfleet vessel, like maybe a piece of hull plating, maybe even a... Wait, that can't be right. You're picking up the leftover debris of a detonated warp core. You're picking up like the chunks of the glass and the metal, etc., that makes up that blue kind of swirling energy in the center of the warp core. You're picking that up right now. And it's very small. There's just little particles, but you're picking that up. And there's, again, a piece of a vessel that is embedded into that docking port.
Captain, there is an open docking berth, and it looks like they're trying to indicate it as available to us. But these sensor readings, there's a fragment of a Federation vessel already there. And I do mean fragment.
Are you picking up any life signs on board the station?
Through that opening docking port, you are. Roughly 100. 99 of them, you have no idea who they are. One of them is reading as human. One of them seems to match the readings of that human that stole a certain Federation vessel off of your ship, a certain shuttlecraft. That's interesting.
Commander Rin, can you beam that fragment of a starship on board the Boudica?
Of course, I'll beam it directly into the main cargo hold.
You may do so, and you don't even need to make a check.
Can we get some kind of image from the main cargo hold that will allow us to see if there are markings on it or like?
Yeah. So you do so. It's a lot bigger. Like compared to the ship, it's like a splinter. Like the Starbase, it's a splinter. Compared to your ship, it's about maybe a 20 by 15 foot like chunk of, and it's slightly tinted black. It looks like black hull plating. And you just pick out SRAG on this hull plating. It's like a section of a ship's hull that had the insignia and the name of the vessel on it.
Well, that blows away my theory of that it was our ship from another timeline.
Or that was a component of the shuttle?
Velia has been scanning it as soon as she got eyes on it
Yeah.
to see what ship it's from.
Oh, it matches records of a certain ship that's been missing for about a year, known as the USS Ragnar.
Captain, this is the USS Ragnar. This is where they disappeared 1 year ago.
Do you
We have no
have
further information?
Okay, well, you preempted my question, Commander. I suppose there is no other way than forward into the unknown, unless there are any objections. And she sort of puts a hand up towards Commander Mitchell, almost saying, I know you don't have any objections, so just calm down.
And as you make mention of moving forward, there is a hail from the station.
On screen.
On the screen is a creature that looks similar to the one that was angry towards you, wearing the gas mask. This one, however, is wearing a white robe. Looks to be almost like a cleric's or a kind of a priest, like a monk's robe. And she is standing in what appears to be a massive central chamber. Behind her is this spiraling white, like, circle of energy that you can only assume is a white hole. There are these massive chains. There's crackling energy around her. And she says, "The morning dawn greets you warmly. We shall meet you in the docking bay. Welcome and may the sun shine brightly upon your face.
And yours as well.
This is Captain Suri Hagen of the USS Boudica from the United Federation of Planets. We look forward to meeting you in person.
She nods. The communication ends. And our last scene shall be the Boudica traveling into this open, and again, like the Boudica's big ship, she is like a tiny little pinprick moving into this huge docking bay where she can actually land, set down, extend, landing clamps and whatnot. And as we zoom back out, our last scene that we see is the spiraling of this massive, massive space station that is known only as Kronos Station. But what is perhaps slightly disconcerting is that emerging through that field is a Prometheus-class vessel that emerges into and starts to orbit the station as well. And that, my friends, is where we are going to end today's session. Great job, everybody. Great job. Good session. It was fun. Ooh, okay, I got a couple compliments that I want to give out to folks. Commander Mitchell, amazing. So good. Like, the random laughter was so amazing. You leaned into this, moment of breaking this kind of seriousness so perfectly. I gotta just give you props for that. Just Sodoman, your whole oh yeah, man, whatever, it's all that was so good. I love when I just say, hey, here's what's going on, and you all just lean into it. So good. Commander Velia, your insight into what was going on, asking questions both during the intermission and during game, fantastic. Captain Hagen, thank you for taking the initiative to have some moments with our two crew members. And Commander Rin, thanks for not freaking out. You did a great job, because apparently your family might be dead. I don't know. You've managed to maintain your cool the whole time, which, considering that everyone else is going crazy, probably a good thing. Probably a good thing. But you all did absolutely fantastic tonight. As a reward for amazing role-playing, for leaning into it, we are going to start next session with the momentum you currently have. You get to keep that between sessions. Conversely, though, I'm keeping my threat. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. I give it a take. He doth give and he doth take it away. But any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns before we wrap up episode 4 of Star Trek Mell? Well, you all did great. And as I always say at the end of every session, it's been a week since I actually had to say this. Thank you to the players for playing. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. And happy gaming, everyone. We will catch you next time for episode 5 of Star Trek Mell next weekend. I'm very excited for that. And nope, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, because Commander Mitchell is out. So a nice little cliffhanger here for you. We'll pick up in 2 weeks, because next weekend is Labor Day. I forgot, which is brilliant. Thank you for reminding me. But in the meantime, be well, be safe, and happy gaming. Thanks for watching, everybody.